Well, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. Got my coffee ready for our coffee chat today. And for those of you that have been with us before, these are like 30 to 45-minute conversations with a whole bunch of really smart people that understand how to do virtual selling in exciting and effective ways. So today is no different. Today we've got Michael Vervena with us. He is from iGuide, and they are one of the premier providers of 3D tours and floor plans, and we're going to see all of that in a minute. But if you have any listings right now, or if you're trying to get listings, more importantly, or as importantly, definitely Michael and his company is somebody that you need to check out. So we're gonna talk to him today about a bunch of things. Before we get started, I wanted to just remind everybody. If you have any questions, and we really are excited when you do. Just click on the little gray triangle on the tab that says questions. That will open up, and then just type it in there, and we'll do our best to either have Michael answer it or have us answer it or both of us answer it. So thank you so much for coming. So Michael is the VP of Sales and Marketing for iGuide. They're a company that have been at this game long time before COVID. And they've really, their primary goal, that from what I've seen at least, is to really create the ability for an agent, number one, to be super professional by having accurate measurements of the home, and to do that in a very scientific way, and then of course to use that as a very, very powerful marketing tool, and importantly, a listing presentation differentiation tool. So thank you, Michael, so much for joining us today. I'm happy to have you with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me as well. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in. We've got a lot to talk about, and so the whole idea today that we're trying to get to is how to give your online listing that virtual advantage, right? I think I feel like, and I've said this before, it feels like we live in dog years right now. Like every day is a week, and every week is a month, and every month feels like 5 years. I don't know. But the whole idea of virtual selling has become absolutely a gotta have now, right, Michael? I mean, there's no other way to do it, obviously. So it's become a big priority.
Absolutely. I think, we've seen a number of markets, the number of listings, drop considerably across North America. And even with that, the number of virtual tours now on every listing is just increased substantially. So we're even seeing on our end, in terms of the number of users visiting our site and whatnot, has doubled. Just in the last 5 weeks, it's doubled. And then year over year, we're seeing that as well. So it's a considerable amount of people going online to really virtually look at listings and understand a property before they want to purchase it.
Exactly. So let's just kind of get into that. There's a lot of different components to it. And as we were talking a little bit before the call started, to me, it seems like now, and I think this is going to be like this as we move forward, you have to have virtual tours. Ideally, it's a 3D virtual tour. Ideally, it includes a floor plan, because we'll see some data later to see how important that's always been. Not even right now. It's probably even more important now. And then marrying that with a live walkthrough wherever that makes sense as well. So consumers are online, they're looking, and the people that are serious are looking more and longer, I think, at least that's what I'm hearing from a lot of different sources. But it's really a time to differentiate your brand and your company and your listings by using these kinds of cool tools. So let's just jump in and let's explain, what do we mean by 3D tours or this kinds of software? What's included on all of these virtual listing presentations?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, 3D tours and virtual tours and 360 tours, these are all some different terms that are used. The ability to go through a home and see that home in totality is great. That's not the only thing, though, as well. I think it's providing a complete package, a complete listing package for the consumer to really understand a space. And that includes the measurements. That includes all this different data that they're not able to, get without going to the home. They're only able to get it virtually. And so if you can provide all that key information that really helps the consumer to make a decision, it just helps through this whole process. Helps to alleviate some of the, the strain and stress of looking and searching for a home. And just as importantly, it's great to kind of go back to your client as a home seller and tuck them in and make them feel more comfortable during these stressful times of, having to sell your home at this point in time. How do you navigate that? And as a professional, a real estate professional, these are some of the things that you can bring to the table to really help them to understand that, you're putting your best foot forward and you're really getting people to come in and visit that home. Even though it's virtually, we've seen time and time again, people have been able to use these tools in markets that we've opened up since, the last several years, where people have gone into homes even before this happened and purchased a home sight unseen, that there was enough information there to understand it all.
So for people that are watching today, I'd love to just get a sense of who's with us today. All right, tell us in the question box or in the chat, whichever is easier for you, type in if you're currently using a 3D tour or if you're thinking about using a 3D tour. I'd love to just see how many people have already participated with this type of technology, because it really does make a difference. The engagement levels are so much more significant. We're going to see that in a minute. So Betty says she's thinking about using one. Jim Bard says, yeah, he's using one. He's using Matterport. Kathleen's already using one, thinking about it. So it looks like it's a mix of, here's one that's I am an iGuide operator. Great, Anna. If you have any insights you want to share with us, go for it, because we'd love to hear about how that works for you. And I'd love to hear if the demand is going up. My guess is that it is right now. We're seeing week over week in the last couple of weeks that the number of new listings coming online is getting pretty significant around the country. So I would guess that you guys have seen that same increase in interest. Is that true, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely. I think as things are opening up a little bit more, I think we're starting to see that. It's all really market dependent. But yeah, overall, I think you're definitely seeing that. And now, even though maybe the number of listings are down, it's again, people are doing more marketing online and adding more of these tools to help navigate the waters of being able to sell a home and virtually.
Well, here's an interesting question for you. And Richard, thanks for bringing this up. I don't know if this is the particular photographer you're using or if it's a Matterport policy, but Richard said that Matterport is now refusing to go into occupied houses. Have you guys seen what's your perspective with your photographers? Are you still allowing them to go in as long as they're acting, with proper protection and things like that? Or is that a market by market decision?
Yeah, that's a market by market decision. And that's also our photographers or the photographers in our network are all independent photographers. There are some brokerages that have in-house camera systems as well. So it's kind of market by market conditions. I know a lot of them have established protocols in terms of what they will do going into the home. They won't touch anything, asking people to leave the home, making sure that they're doing their due diligence, wearing booties, gloves, masks, and stuff like that. So I think, everybody has stepped up in terms of responsibility and making sure that, again, alleviating the stress in as much as you can for the home seller.
Yeah, and I would look, Richard, specifically for you, but anybody on the call, look to your state association and your local associations for what the latest rules are about what the definition of an essential is. I think in some cases I don't want to say they're loosening up, but they're changing a little bit. Again, as long as you're following proper safety protocols. Like Kathleen says, our photographer has specific rules. Nobody in the home 30 minutes before. They won't touch anything. So open doors, curtains, and turn on lights, etc. So there are ways to do it safely if you're. Yeah, okay, so there's a question from Inna. Oh, we can't even jump into this. I got so many questions for you, Michael. Inna is one of your operators. She said, how would you suggest we use iGuides to counter drive-by appraisals where the square footage number is way off from what iGuide shows? That's a really good question. Why don't you talk a little bit about I don't know if we have a slide for that. If we do or not. Actually, I don't think
it'd be a couple down, I think.
Couple down? Yeah, let's talk about this a little bit. This is a really important point to bring up. Thank you, Anna, for bringing this topic to the table.
Yeah, I guess just to set this up a little bit, to back up, one of the things that's coming out of this, and again, it's more than just a virtual tour. It's about providing the information that consumers want to see to really understand that space. But then providing accurate information is extremely important as well. A new definition of professionalism, which was written by Wave Group, in regards to the importance of measurements and how we've seen variances in measurements. So we looked at 100 plus homes in the Ontario market and in the US market as well. And of these homes, compared to the tax data that what we were seeing there, we were seeing variances of up to 20% below or above, what tax data was actually reporting. When you do an iGuide, or when we capture those measurements, we're capturing each individual measurement of every room. We're following a methodology of measurement very similar to the ANSI standard of measurement. And we're providing that data in a cohesive package with our floor plans as well, and calling out what's included and not included in the total square footage. So that gives you as an agent or the ability to really understand exactly what is included and not included. And if there is a dispute, you're able to, talk to it and be able to come to a reconciliation on that. And again, I think it's important that we're providing that great data. Realtor.com, I read this, I think on the 16th, a couple of weeks ago. Realtor.com did a survey in terms of what, consumers are looking for when they're looking for a home online. And one thing that really stood out was accurate and detailed listing information. Again, if you go, I always use this analogy in terms of in Toronto right now, you can put a range of what the square footage is on a house. Well, it's a little bit problematic in a number of different ways because, you're looking for a home. What is actual square footage in a home? Does it really suit my needs as a consumer? On top of that, there's a lot of value that's tied to the square footage. I mean, that's one of 5 different things that puts into the valuation of understanding that value of that home. And by putting a range down, well, when I go buy an Apple phone, I know how much memory it is exactly. If I go buy a used car from someone and they tell me that it's between 60 and 80,000 miles,
right,
I'm going to think, well, what, you can't tell me exactly what it is, but yet I make the largest purchase as a consumer, typically, is my home, and I don't know what the square footage of is in my home. So it's I think a little bit problematic, but this is a way for an agent to step up and provide professionalism in the space in terms of, providing accurate square footages of that home or confidence in the measurement.
So I think in this question is a good one. How would you suggest we use iGuides to counter drive-by appraisal? So if I'm an agent and I have a property and I'm worried about the appraiser who, I know there's sometimes no love lost between agents and the appraisers anyway. But is there a way for an agent to share the iGuide with an appraiser to say, hey, I've already done this in a way that's going to give you a much more accurate view instead of just driving by, waving and saying, oh yeah, it's 2,842 square feet. Is there ways to connect those dots? Yeah.
Thanks for bringing me back on track. Yeah. It'll be dependent in terms of the situation. So if the agent is willing to share that iGuide with the appraiser, we've been told by different appraisal companies out there that data is great for desktop appraisals, really understanding what the state and condition of the home is, the appliances, what the size is, all the measurements, and it's fantastic data for them. And we've been told time and time again they could use that data for an appraisal. It will be up to the individual appraiser if they're willing to use it or whatnot, but I don't see why there's great data in there, especially if they're just doing a drive-by. They're not actually seeing the inside of the home, and that's just rich information for them to use and really understand that space. So even from the drive-by, we've been told that they could use it on a desktop, which is kind of one step removed, where they don't even drive out to the property. So
yeah, in this saying they don't even go in the house, like they don't even go near you. So like, how especially right now with banks, with so many distractions and all this other crazy stuff going on, like it seems like what I love about all these kinds of tools, I think it's really cool, is very rarely do you find something that helps you be a better professional and a better marketer at the same time, right? There's things you can do that are sort of, all about like, disclosures and making sure those are all filled out properly. That's obviously part of being a professional realtor. But this stuff gives you both, right? It gives you a way to have to truly know that it's an accurate listing. So no one can ever come back at you, particularly the buyer, right, and tell you, oh, that house was 2,850, not 2,790 like you said it was, or worse yet, you said it was 3,200 and it's really 2,700. You get to do that, plus you get to put the best foot forward of a listing. To me, it's such a win-win, and it's all relative, I guess, but they're not they're not super expensive, especially right now. They've kind of got to have, it's like find a way to cut other, more analog type of promotions and fund this type of stuff, because I really think it's, you see what people are saying here. 61% want it and 58% want an accurate and deal listing information. This thing gives you both. Zini, I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, is asking a question. Do you guys provide virtual staging of the house as well as part of the system?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we don't provide it directly. You can take a virtual iGuide rather and get it virtually staged. So you can work with the photographer through that, or companies like third-party companies can offer those services. So they can absolutely virtually stage, especially if it's an empty house. Great way to kind of show some value. We've got some examples on our website as well.
Dennis is saying it would seem like appraiser usage would be their association and or state standard operating procedure. I agree. I don't know why you wouldn't just use something that is completely accurate. Isn't that, I mean, the whole appraisal is based on the size of the house, right? I mean, it seems like a natural to me. I'm with you. Let's hope that other people believe us on that one. Okay, so let's jump back for a second. Maybe let's just talk a little bit. This is data that was from 2019. That seems like 10 years ago now. But I would guess if anything,
well, this is an annual report.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's an annual report that NAR puts out where they, they talk to thousands of home buyers and they ask them, what's the information that you find useful online? And even though the state and condition has changed, it's still the same relevant information that a buyer looks at and understands the space. And this is why I say, again, it's more than just a 3D tour, more than a virtual tour. It's the complete package. It's understanding, what are my room sizes? As here you look at, photos are always typically the number one thing, and that's what really grabs people's attention. On that Realtor.com report, they said the virtual tour or the 3D tour was more important. I can't remember exactly how they worded it, but detailed information about the property, and that's kind of what we've been talking about. It's not only the price and the number of rooms, but what are the room sizes? Do my kids' furniture fit in it? What's the actual, again, the square footage of the house? Floor plans is consistently number 3 on the list. And this is huge because when you look at a home and you understand how that home fits and flows for you and your family, like it shows you where the storage is. It shows you how the windows are laid out. If your floor plan shows you exactly where it's situated on the lot, you're going to know how the sun comes across the property. But it gives you that fit and flow. You know how close your baby's room is to your bedroom, or you know how far you want to have your teenager's bedroom from your bedroom. However you set it
far
up,
away.
You're going to know exactly. Make it work for you, and it gives you an understanding of the space, and that's really where we see a ton of value. I mean, we get back more information or more, I guess, over the last, the number of years since we've been around since 2014. Everybody comes back and says the floor plans are just invaluable in terms of really understanding that space.
And I don't know how I missed this because I haven't bought a house in a while, but it makes so much sense that floor plans, and I think we kind of underestimate the value of floor plans. Everybody, I think, at some level understands virtual tours. Obviously, great photos make a big difference, but that floor plan component, and again, especially right now, people have I was talking to an agent the other day and she said, I believe I'm going to have a lot of pent up demand, not because of COVID, but because people have spent so much darn time in their houses, they're going to realize which houses they really don't like, right? And
absolutely.
If you know the current floor plan and what you really don't like about that floor plan, I was just complaining this morning about my laundry room. It's in the dumbest place. Like I would never buy a house with it the way it is again, right? But it's because I'm doing laundry 4 times a day. I never do that, right? The same kind of thing. But the floor plan is really critical to that because it once you understand. Now, not everybody can look down at a property and understand how that goes, but I think a lot more people than maybe we give credit to can.
And you hit on a good point. I mean, 2 points. Well, one, actually, just I'm stuck in a small bungalow with my 2 kids and my wife, and I'm relegated to the basement, as you can see here. Welcome to my the basement. The ceiling's right here. I don't see the daylight. But you hit on a really good point. Is as you said, you don't look at this very often. Well, the average consumer doesn't. So all this marketing that's being done now around properties is just so much more rich. It also gives the agent some more information to put out there and to attract more buyers. So, the typical home buyer doesn't see all these different virtual tours, and they're wowed by it all, really, to be quite blessed. I mean, the fact is you don't have to focus on one or another. So how do you make that experience easier and more intuitive for someone to kind of go through a space? And that's where it's really important. If you pop up just 2 slides, just one thing. Oh, sorry, the other way.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Yeah, we had a question actually while we're doing this. Zini asked, does the package provide the floor plan with it? And it provides all this stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so our different providers will add in things. So if you think of the iGuide, it's a marketing tool. So you can add in video and drone, and you can have it all in one kind of complete listing iframe that you can embed on your website. You can share, you can do all these things with. But just looking at this picture here, the floor plans are integrated right into the virtual 3D tour. And what's great about this is it's very intuitive to walk around the space, understand where you are in the space, one. But number 2 is you can go straight to that room that you want to identify. So you want to go check out that laundry room right away. You can go straight to that laundry room and see where it is to make sure, yeah, okay, this is okay, because this is the criteria that you have for your new home. And so you want to be able to make that process simple. Yeah, NAR has a stat. I mean, the most frustrating thing about finding the right home for you, the number one most frustrating thing is finding the right home. And so you go through a lot of these homes, and if you go there and the pictures are bad and you don't really get an understanding of the space, you're just going to go to the next one. And once you get into a space and you understand, hey, this is the right space for me, you're going to dive in deeper. And this is where when you put all this great information, you keep people's eyes longer, you get them to really understand that property, and they're better qualified when they want to actually go and, smell the basement and see if it's musty, right? Or whatever it is.
Right.
They want to be able to go there in person. People are buying homes sight unseen.
I'm sorry. And Dennis just asked a question or made a comment that he said a buyer recently commented on a 3D tour. It said, where's the basement? Where's the garage? Where's the front and backyard? So you're right. It's nice to see a beautiful room, but you got to understand it in context of the rest of the house or it doesn't make any sense. So I think having that floor plan is really a big addition to the concept. So I like that you do both. Okay. All right. So we're jumping around a little bit. That's okay though. So let's go.
No worries.
Yeah, let's talk about this now, because I think this is really important. Because it's one thing to create, and this is the same thing with any kind of content that you create, whether it be an article or a blog post, a video, anything like that. But it's one thing to create it. It's another thing to leverage it fully, right? To put it everywhere. And one of the things that we're hearing a lot, we just actually had Jed Carlson on yesterday from AdWorks, who from social media platform, and he was saying that it's really important that you put the right type of content out right now, right? It can't be me, bye, I'm amazing, look at me. It can't be that kind of content right now. It doesn't work. Frankly, it never really works, but it particularly right now. So let's talk about how, if you create one of these tours, how and where can you promote it? And how can it help you generate interest for this property, but even for your own brand in total?
Well, it's a great question. A lot of our service providers are professional content creators. So what they're doing is they're creating content. They're creating professional photos. Some of them do video. Some of them do drones. Some of them are using, and then all of them are using our iGuide camera system to go in there and map out the home. Well, what that gives you is the floor plan. Gives you all the room measurements, area calculations. It gives you the 3D tour as well. And even, different ways to share 360s as well. So you can take all this content now and you can share that out via social media, Instagram, Facebook. You can post 360s on Facebook and grab buyers' attention. So if it's that kitchen, that beautiful kitchen, and you want to share it, you can share a 360 of that. And then somebody's scrolling through their feed, it's going to flip and it'll grab their attention. And then you can share different content like the photos or the actual iGuide virtual tour, the 3D tour, another day. And so you get people coming into the home. The whole point about this is, the virtual showings, the virtual open house, getting it on search portals, making sure that it's found on Google search, because people are typing in addresses. is getting views on that property, because now you're getting more people to look at that property, and that's where you're providing value for your clients, is you're getting more potential buyers who might be serious about buying that property. And the reason why I'm big on it is because it comes back to showing your customers value at the end of the day. And, through things like analytics and saying, hey, look at, again, tucking in the home seller. I know this is a difficult time to be selling a home, and and you're forced into it. In some circumstances, people have to sell right now. But look at, this is how many people came to your home, and we're getting a lot of views, a tremendous amount of views, and this is how they're getting there. And this is how much time they're spending in your home. So virtually, and this is how many people are returning to your home. So they get a good understanding. Okay, like, I'm getting some feedback. There's, I didn't see them walk through my house, but they are actually walking through my home, understanding if the space works for them. And that demonstrates, as a real estate professional, the value you bring to the table, especially in some of these markets where there is no product on the market. Even right now, more so than ever, homes are still selling pretty fast. Like in the Toronto market, homes are, days, and they're going. It's still over asking as well. You want to show your client the value that you brought to the table, not them thinking, wow, the home sold in 3 days. No, wow, my agent made the home sell, or helped me sell this home in 3 days.
Bingo, exactly. So one of the things that you said, and I just want to underline this because I think it's a great idea, is this whole virtual open house thing. It's kind of like what we're doing with coffee chats, right? It's like you want to try to invite as many people to participate on that live event as possible, because you create an engagement and a dynamic, and you can answer questions in real time for people that might be interested in the home. So the idea of using an iGuide tour along with an invitation to the virtual live tour, I think is a really great idea, right? So if the virtual tour is giving them, or the 3D tour is giving them a good sense of that, wow, this is a house I might actually be interested in. It's like pushing them one step further down the sales funnel using this in addition to saying, come and visit with me for that live open house. I think that's a really cool idea.
Absolutely. Well, and then, agents are using it. And you showed this the other day on one of your coffee chats as well, that, using Zoom calls and other ways to share those virtual open houses or virtual showings. In Ontario here, our company Broker Bay is doing virtual open houses through MLS. They're integrating the iGuide into that as well. So you can use your iGuide to do virtual through the MLS, which is pretty cool. So, and then just getting that property out there. I mean, again, getting more views. You got companies, PR companies, that are showcasing properties and getting them into the news and stuff. Like Lion and Orb is one company that, using the iGuide to, with the product that they sell, to get the product in front of more buyers and again, provide more value for their agents.
That's a great idea. By the way, just a quick aside, while we're talking about live open houses, I'm doing some research right now for an article that I'm writing on Wave Group, and I've talked to pretty much every one of the MLS system providers out there. So Rapatoni, Matrix, Black Knight, or FBS, Plex MLS, a lot of the ones that one of you guys may be using. And every one of them has told me that the MLSs now have virtual open house functionality available to them. So if you haven't looked lately, check in your MLS and see if they've now done that. What a lot of them have done is where you used to add in open house, you now add in virtual open house. And if they have not, reach out to them and tell them that, guess what? If they haven't yet gotten there, hopefully most of them have, but if they haven't, that functionality is available. So that makes what we're talking about here even more powerful. You can combine the two into some of those things.
Yeah, and let it, if they haven't got the iGuide in there, we have an API that we can give them, and they can integrate that in as well. So
okay, here's a great question. I promise this is a real question. James, you can back me up on this. What is an iGuide? He wants to just know, what the heck are we talking about here? Should we go back to that first slide?
Great question.
Should we go
back?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. I would love the demo one, but yeah, if you go back a couple slides there, perfect. So what the iGuide is, it's essentially in an iframe, you've got a 3D walkthrough virtual tour, floor plans. It's hard to see across the top there, but you're going to have your agent branding in there. You'll have the photos. You can add in links to video. it will have all the details of the property, all the room measurements, area calculations. You can write a write-up about the property, a map of where the property is located. So really, an iGuide is a complete listing showcase, really, in essence.
Okay.
But what our camera system does is it goes in there. We're using a LiDAR laser system. Our photographer network, our service providers are using this camera system to quickly go through a home and capture all the measurements and a 3D walkthrough tour, which will also provide the floor plans. What's nice about our system is it's a very fast process. Most of our operators are in and out of a home, and say an average home of 3,000 square feet, they could do in under half an hour, depending on the service provider. But that's an average time. We do it in 20 minutes is what we've proven. So you're not disturbing the sellers for very long, which is nice. You don't have to be, you can be in and out of there, and you've got all this rich data to share. One other thing that's really nice right now that you can do when you get an iGuide is you can take a downloadable copy. We give you a downloadable copy to the agent. So the agent could download that, put that on a thumb drive. They can give that to the seller if they want. The seller now can go in and look at that home, the buyer rather. The buyer now can go in and look at that home. So they've purchased that home. They want to get in there for measurements. At this time right now, it's kind of disruptive to go in there more than once to get measurements and to do all that stuff. They can now go in and measure on screen. So we have a measurement tool right on screen where you can measure and see your furniture is going to fit. You can measure for curtains. You can share this with your designer. However, you're going to have all this rich data to plan your move-in. And so now you as a selling agent can give this to the buyer's agent, to the buyers. It's going to have your branding in there as well, but it's now good information that now you're not disrupting your sellers. You're one more step of putting your sellers at ease, and I think that's really a tremendous thing right now is people don't want people coming through their home continuously.
Well, you could literally even make that a closing gift, get it like a beautiful, tasteful little glass box, put the little, I've seen this done for photo packages too, get a beautiful little thumb drive, put that in, and put a little gift card in there for a dinner when you can ever go back out to restaurants again, and away you go. That's kind of cool. We have a few questions I wanted to stop and ask for. So James Hay asked, where do you get one? I'm gonna show you that slide in a minute, so hold on that one, James. And Craig is saying, I've been seeing that a virtual tour is just a slideshow of photos. I think just a slideshow of photos is the operative there, right? What we're talking about is a whole lot more than just a collection of photos, right? It's a much more than that.
It's a 3D interactive walkthrough tour is I guess how I'll put it.
Yeah, that's a whole lot different.
And sorry, these terminology gets conflated sometimes.
I think they do. Ellen, yes, can you provide the source of the value of the website graph? I think you mean this one, Ellen, that's on the screen right now. If you want to just confirm that's what you mean. That's coming from the NAR's 2019 profile of home buyers and sellers. And then if you were looking at this chart, this came from a recent study. If you go to, if you type in realtor.com virtual selling, it'll probably take you to this. It's news.move.com. Would you buy a home without stepping a foot inside? We'll grab a link of that and we'll put that in the recording for you as well. But that's got another good one. So there's lots of good data here. Let's see. Oh, this is an interesting one, and I haven't heard anything about this. It's a very interesting point Zini's bringing up. Do you have any statistics on home burglaries because of floor plans and virtual tools? Like he said, he's had some clients that were very concerned about providing that level of granularity. Have you seen any concerns about that?
Oh, I've over the years, yeah, the odd person brings it up as a concern, but at the end of the day, I've never heard, touch wood, of that actually being the case. So you as the agent, I mean, you can put this on, you can lock it once the house is sold. You can walk, I mean, even before this all happened, you can walk through a home if you really wanted to case out a joint or whatever it is. But I think it's a valid concern. Mm-hmm. I don't know, how, again, I don't know. I've never heard of it actually happening because of it.
I mean, to answer the question, Zadie, I think any property photos online are a risk, right? It doesn't really matter if it's a 3D tour. I mean, maybe that gives you a better way to, like you say, to sort of case out the joint about which window I would break into. But the truth is we're all at more risk. I hate to say that, but we really are by having photos, online. But let's jump over to one more quick point about how do you take credit for this, not only with the buyer or the homeowner that you've already sold, but how do you use this to secure new listings? Because I got to believe that this is a really powerful tool to help people to convince them that they should work with you and not with someone else.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think it all kind of goes back to step one, get the relevant information that consumers want to see. Because you're going to, as an agent, put a better listing out there online, get better qualified buyers. Then, step two is making sure you get tons of people and views and sharing it, even boost a social post in a geographic area you can geolocate, advertise it, get tons of views on that property. Now you go back, you tuck in your seller, as I mentioned before, but now you can take those same analytics and in your listing presentation for the next presentation, you can walk them through. This is what I'm going to do for you. And this is what I did in my last listing. This is how I brought people into the home and how, these are all the activities I did. If I did a virtual open house, if I shared it on my social media, if I got it onto realtor.com or onto the search portals and whatnot. It's demonstrating that value that you bring to the table and showing results.
I think
you can't deny
so much sense. This is just Marilyn's pet peeve, but going into, someone wants to do your listing and they hand you basically a mimeograph, and literally sometimes they look literally mimeograph. They're really poor quality. And they'll say, here's my marketing plan. It's like, well, there's nothing in that you've done specifically for me. This is some stuff that your broker probably does and that you do it for every listing. And there's nothing in that demonstrates to me that you are a marketing professional, that you understand what it takes today in today's market to sell it. And, some of these statistics that we looked at, and, thank you, Cheryl, for bringing us back to these. So this kind of thing, that would be awesome to put in a listing presentation to say, you know what, I know what happens with marketing and I want to show you what works. And, put a chart like this and then say, and guess what, because of what we know works for consumers, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, right? So it demonstrates a much deeper knowledge of what marketing looks like today. Not a whole lot of people take it to that level, but really consumers are looking for you to be a sales professional and a marketing professional. And it's a lot to be both. But that's really what they're looking for. So, sharing even a slide like this that shows all the places you're going to share their listing and how you're going to do it. Think about getting a little bit more granular about, I am the best marketing person you're ever going to work with, and combine that then with, and by the way, we're never going to get in trouble because we're going to make sure the floor plan and the square footage that we're demonstrating is actually the number, so no one can ever come back to you or to any of us and say that there's a problem. There's some.
Yeah, and Marilyn, to that point. Yeah, then to that point, the number one, I believe it was in the 2019 NAR home buyers profile. I mean, I read that cover to cover. It's a lot of wealth of information. If you haven't read it, it's worth reading. But the number one thing still, even though it's definitely reduced the number of, helping to market the home, but the number one thing still that home sellers are looking for from their agent, and I think it's 20% is the highest number, is to help market that home.
Right. So demonstrate what you're doing, because this is breakthrough stuff. There's other industries that haven't even gotten anywhere near this, and if you've been working with, hopefully you guys are getting comfortable with Zooms and GoToMeetings, because there's a lot of other people that have not figured that stuff out. So combine that with what you've got here, and you've got a real winning combination. Cheryl asked a question, how do we find the service provider? So let me jump over here. I want to give you a place to go. So we've got Michael's contact information, the gentleman that's speaking today. So feel free to reach out to him, and why don't you talk a little bit about where they find the service providers and what offer that you have right now.
Yeah, the best place to go is to go to goiguide.com, and then right there is find a service provider. There's a big orange button at the top. Click on that, and that takes us to a map. And you just put in your location, and it'll show you the local service providers that are offering our services in your area. So once again, goiguide.com, and then just say order an iGuide, and that will take you directly there. So And then that's the best way to, I mean, reach out. We have different service providers. They all offer a variety of different services, from full marketing suite to, you know, photography, video, and that other stuff as well. But they offer the iGuide primarily as well. So.
And do you have a national footprint in the U.S.? I know you're based
Yeah,
in Canada, but you have a lot in the U.S. as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we started out at Canada, one of the largest 3D content providers in the real estate space in Canada. We is what we've been told, and then going into the U.S. now, we're in over 45 states. Not in all 50 yet, but hopefully we'll be there by the end of the year. But yeah, we've got an operator in Alaska right down to Florida. So, you know, there's operators in a majority of the cities around. So you just have to look. And if there isn't one now, there will be one soon, I hope.
And Inna just actually gave me the links, the specific link. So if you click on the gray bar where it says chat, the actual link to find operators is goiguide.com/operator. So that's where the list of the photographers that are skilled at using the system are. Is there also a link, Michael, if I know there's a couple of people that are operators on the call today, is there a place for if someone wants to become an iGuide operator, do they also go to Go iGuide to learn about how they can become?
Yeah, go to Go iGuide.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, you know, really, they can go there. They can set up a meeting with one of our guys on our sales team, and they can, we'll run you through the whole process and the camera system and all that and what it takes.
Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna share a couple of other things while we've got you guys. Whoops. First is that we have two more. Well, we have three more coming up this week, but I wanted to show you the next two. Gail Weisswasser is here with us tomorrow from HomeSnap. If any of you guys have not yet checked out HomeSnap, that is a really awesome way to get nationwide listing exposure and lead generation. There's actually 33 million consumers that have that app that use it all the time. And if you look into again in the chat, the registration link is there. We'll send this out again, but if you want to see those, if you want to grab that. Then on Thursday, we have another delightful person coming, Carrie Autry. She's a VP of Marketing for CRS Data. They're a public record software provider, and they do some really interesting things. It's one of those tools that sometimes we forget about, that is offered by the MLS that gives you all kinds of great ways to really target your local sphere. And here's the link to that one if you want to see what that one, if you want to grab that one. And then what do we have here? We found the research link to the article that talked about what people are looking for to sell a home. We'll attach that too if you want to grab the link. It's in there. And then also wanted to remind you guys, we have another webinar coming up today. We're just doing a lot of these right now. If any of you are interested in understanding more about how you can tap into the rental space, there's a really cool new tool called Rental Beast that's basically like an MLS system for all rentals in your local market and even across the country. And a lot of MLS organizations are now starting to offer this thing. But even if they're not, you can still become part of it. So if your market's a little, not even your market, but if your business is a little soft right now and you want to see how can I offset that with rentals, there's a lot of people in the last downturn that basically survived because of rentals. And even if your business isn't and you just want to become better at selling rentals, this is a great tool too. So check that one out. The registration link for that is in the chat right now as well. So that's a really fun one. And we've got a guy that wrote a book called One Rental at a Time, Michael Zuber, if any of you have ever read that. He's great, a great resource to talk about how to really tap into the rental market, especially for the investor market of those that that want to buy multiple homes as individuals. So that's a great one. Check that out. And then finally, wanted to remind all of you guys to come and join us. It's RE Technology Inc. INC. So make sure you add the INC when you go to YouTube. Subscribe to our channel and then just click on that little white or gray bell that you see there. That'll turn solid, and when you do that, that'll give you notification of all of the recordings of any of the coffee chats and frankly all of our webinars. So if there's anything you missed, it gives you a good chance to go and check that out without having to check back to our YouTube channel, because I know I don't do it and I'm sure you don't either. And then also we have a three-month subscription available to you for RE Technology. Make sure that when you click, you go to create account, click on monthly, the monthly option, not the annual option, and these discount codes will work. But before you do that, go to inside of your MLS, like click on your dashboard or the bed of links, and make sure that you cannot get it already free through your MLS, because you may have done that, or you may have already registered. So yeah, we had that happen yesterday. Somebody wanted one, and then they realized, oh, I already had a subscription. So just make sure before you sign up for that, you might be in good shape already. Let's see. And then, oh, someone's asking us to register you for the 2 o'clock webinar. We'd be happy to do that for you, Sherry. And thank you for reminding me. If there's anybody on the call that would like to be registered automatically for all of these coffee chats, because they come in every single day, and I know it's a lot to keep up with them, just drop your email link in the question box there, and we'll be happy to add you to our list where we automatically register you for them, just so you don't have to think about it. So that's another thing. So just one final closing word from you, Michael. What would you say? What's your one word of advice for those that want to think about how to be more effective with virtual selling? Just give us the final word, and then we'll cut out for today.
Absolutely. Well, before we cut out, I just wanted to thank you for having me on today, and thank everybody's time. I guess the one thing is, there's a lot of great content to be had out there. So it's keeping the consumer in mind and making sure that you can give them the power and information that they can take to make decisions is going to help you be a better real estate professional. And at the end of the day, make sure you get out there and share it, and then show those results. Tuck people in. Let them know that what you've done. Do it. I think there's an old saying: you do what you're going to say. I can't.
I know what you mean.
So please excuse me. Yeah. So show them the results, and
Right.
And I think that is absolutely the best thing you can do.
Okay, and we're going to close on Craig Spradlin's motto of the day. It is stay safe and go virtual. So thank you, Craig. I'm with you on that on both fronts. So yeah. With that, we'll tune out today for Coffee Chat. Thank you so much. Again, join us tomorrow for Home Snap with Gail Weisbosser, and on Thursday with Carrie Autry from CRS Data. You'll learn some other new interesting things that'll help you continue to be the best virtual seller you can be. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Stay safe.